Okay, so we are calling this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, June 25th. It is 6:03 p.m. And very first thing we're going to do is have Mike Chandler from Ash Creek is going to address some questions that have been raised about the proposed sewer line coming down Highway 9 and Highway 9 only. So I asked Mike to come and please make clear to everyone in town so that when this project starts, if it starts, because it's still not a done deal from what you and I talked about, that I don't want any conspiracy theories. I want everybody to know, everybody here together, all from buying what's going on, so that we don't have a lot of misinformation running around town. And then if we do hear misinformation, I'll be able to play this recording and say, here, listen to what Mike said. So Mike, please come explain to everybody, what is this line that you applied for funding and the funding that you have received, and what it's about, where we are in the process, and how that.
Thank you, Mayor. Really, I think the genesis of kind of what I would consider a miscommunication on these particular projects is that we have two parallel paths occurring at the same time. One started almost 4 years ago, just as COVID began. The application for the Zion White Bison project came in and was approved. And as a part of their project, they needed a body politic for their large septic system that they were going to install. At that time, they were working with the mayor and council and trying to solve that. The mayor reached out to us at Ash
And
Creek.
we're talking to the mayor previous to me.
Yes, so I believe that 2020, Matt Spenlove, yes. So we had no prior involvement up here. At the time that this project was being entertained, the state of Utah for some time has had concerns about Virgin's proximity to the diversion that feeds into Queller, and the likelihood that eventually contamination from leach fields would enter the river. That being said, they were in favor of us working as body politic. About 6 months into that process, we were requested by the state of Utah, the Division of Water Quality, to write a grant. They had received information that there would be a tranche of funding, roughly $200 million coming from ARPA funding that came with a lot of the COVID funding that came to cities and a variety of other things. That funding had been earmarked for water projects. They said some of that may end up coming to the Division of Water Quality, and this is a project that we would like to see a pipeline get up to Virgin, and working with the Zion White Bison project that could facilitate this happening.
This was in 2020 that they approached you?
This is probably, my recollection is a little fuzzy, but it's gonna be early 2021, I think, when acknowledgement of the funding was coming, because COVID was March and April 2020. It was roughly not quite a year after that. So we put together a grant application. All of that money got socked up with the Wasatch Front, Preserve the Great Salt Lake, secondary metering, and a bunch of other Wasatch Front interests that, that's kind of typical of some of those funding things. So we didn't hear anything back. We continued to march down the path of designing and getting approval on what's called a large underground septic, a commercial sized unit. Now, this was both the White Bison project as well as the Zion Commons, the Steve LaBrie project on Sheep Ridge Road. Both of those projects working in tandem, and we had agreed to be body politic for both of those projects at the request of the city council at that time. The funding request did not come through, and so we continued to pursue those treatment options. Over the course of the next 2 years and several different studies and a variety of back and forth with the state finally issued a determination last late last year, essentially, that was much more stringent for the Zion White Bison project as far as their discharge requirements, something that they had not, something that exceeded what they had kind of anticipated in their design parameters and would have put them significantly behind on their schedule. They contacted the state and in discussions with the Division of Water Quality, the Division of Water Quality actually said, well, what if we help facilitate a solution like the pipeline and pump station from your facility down to Laverca?
Who said this?
Division of Water Quality. Correct. So they proposed the idea to Zion White Bison. This was in a discussion separate from Ash Creek. They jointly came back and proposed that to us. Jared and his group came and mentioned that to us. I subsequently called the Division of Water Quality to verify that they were on board with that. And what, that was a little surprising to me. But they mentioned in both their report as well as in our conversations that, you know, Virgin is one of the largest unsewered communities in the state, and it has close proximity to a major drinking water source. So those were their criteria and their intent. They had some money in their revolving fund that they said, look, we'll be able to put towards this, but you guys will have to put a funding application together. So that was October, November of 2023, when that conversation took place. So the White Bison Project put together the application. In the course of that discussion with the state, it became apparent that the state would only award funding for that project to a body politic. And what that necessitated is, rather than Zion White Bison being the applicant, Ash Creek Special Service District now had to decide, will we be the applicant and participate in this? As we talked with the state about some of the conditions that we placed on that the private partners, essentially this would be a public-private partnership project where a dedicated line would be coming to Zion White Bison. Zion White Bison had reached out to some other private business entities in the area to try to share those costs. And we agreed that if they could come up with an agreement, which we're still working on, for how those costs and that funding would be backed, we would move forward as the body politic on that application. So that application went before the Division of Water Quality in March. The division authorized the funding. They included a fairly large contingency simply because they felt like this project needed to move forward. And with the way the Division of Water Quality works, if you're 1 cent over their allotted funding amount, they can't give you more, but they can always give you less. So they actually kind of inflated the bill. There are several things that, as we met, it was down at the Dixie Center right after the Utah Water Users Conference. I mentioned that we would continue to work as body politic, that we needed to get the agreement in place. And one of the conditions that was placed on the funding was that there would be a backstop agreement and that it could be shown to the satisfaction of the Division of Water Quality that the private partners could cover the debt service costs. And so where we find ourselves today is that the design of that pipeline has moved forward. I have a set, and I think Jared has handed out a basic overview. This is more of the design detail drawings, but the pipeline plans have moved forward a little bit faster than the permitting, as with BLM and through the Sitla and America First properties on the Laverca bench, as well as I have yet to see the final pump station design. So there's multiple pieces. We don't have the agreement in place. So the way that this process will proceed is that once we have a finalized set of plans and the permitting in place, we would go back to the Division of Water Quality. They have to review the plans and see that it conforms to their standards and specifications. Then the project has to be bid. And so once the project is bid and we have firm prices on what the actual cost is, that's when Ash Creek would incur that debt service going to bond for the funding on this particular project. In the meantime, we're working through with White Bison and some of those other private business entities, what is that cost sharing agreement so that the annual debt service on that money is covered by the private entities. On a parallel path, but on a much shorter path is, I believe, October, maybe Mayor or Keith, you can correct me, there was an application or a request that went to Washington County Water Conservancy District to annex into the regional water supply agreement. And as those conversations commenced, I received a call from the Conservancy District saying, hey, we feel like if we're gonna provide additional water that will enable additional growth, that annexation into Ash Creek would be a wise thing to require of the town of Virgin. How do you feel about that? Said, well, I know that there'll be a fair amount of apprehension about that, and so I'm fine with that, but I don't intend, I know our communities don't intend to front the cost of bringing sewer to those communities, so our Virgin was willing to accept those conditions, and so be it, but we'll live with that. And so we had our first meeting, I think, in January. We had a follow-up discussion in February when there was action taken on voting for annexing. And as you see, these timelines overlap, and so it could be easily understood that in February, I was standing here in a meeting saying, hey, sewer's not coming to Virgin, and then I'm putting in a pen to the pipe that's bringing the sewer to Virgin. The pipeline is not intended, as of right now, for public use. As we talked in that meeting in February, this is a project that is being backstopped and funded by private entities. However, it will be turned over and managed by Ash Creek Special Service District. Several of the conversations that we've had as a town council, and that I've been present for, suggested that there was a great deal of apprehension about people being forced to connect. But that new subdivisions or new business entities could gain the advantage of not only a reduced septic density requirement, but that they would be required to connect so that we wouldn't continue to accelerate the potential problem of contaminating groundwater in the Virgin River with septic tanks moving forward. So I think part of the misconception about what the driver for the plan was, that this project was, although not conceived in this manner, but when Ash Creek was asked to come and serve as body politic, and when the Zion White Bison project was approved to move forward, that's when the town's approvals took place for this project. The mayor had asked me, well, don't we still need to approve sewer? This is not necessarily bringing sewer to Virgin. The state knows that. That's why they set the condition that the private entities will have to back the debt service. Now, what they're hoping is when new subdivisions come in, when other growth is allowed by the town, which is a decision the town council does make and the planning commission, that growth could connect. The big concern is that for all of our communities, whether you're talking New Harmony, Leeds, Virgin, any of these communities that are still on kind of legacy septic systems, there's a great deal of apprehension about being forced to connect and then having a big bill in doing that. And so the state saw this as a public-private way that the main backbone, roughly $6 million, could go funded by private entities and potentially somewhere along the way, at the town's discretion, we would ask can other people connect and what would their buy-in be to connect to that type of system. And so it is the case that it is a beautiful day, the sun is shining, but it's also hot. So we have a sewer coming, but it's not coming to Virgin Town. It's coming to Zion White Buffalo and those private entities who are funding backstop. So both things are true at the same time. Although I think there has been some misconception that I had said, no, sewer's not coming to the town or to the residents, but it is coming. And I think one of the key components that the state, which offered very attractive terms of 30 years, 0% interest, the question becomes that reduces individual homeowners here and or property owners when they eventually connect to that system, a much reduced rate connecting at some time in the future, whenever that day comes, whether that's in 10 years or 50 years from now, I'm not going to speculate. So with that background, I guess, I'm happy to take any questions from mayor and council. If there's ongoing concerns, questions about the nature of what is happening, what isn't happening. I've tried to be transparent, saying our partnership and our agreement to annex is something where we don't have a current billing department, we would be relying on you to bill. We've always had that arrangement with our cities because it keeps us connected with the hip. We're not interested in doing something that is detrimental to the city. And so I think if there's a clear desire for a different course of action, if I hadn't made it clear that we're open to listening to those things in our previous discussions, when we talked about annexation, I'd like to make that clear now.
Okay, so what I want to verify, you've said this, but the accountant really quick. Because what is being funded by DWQ is a private sewer line. Does the town council need to approve this before it can come into the town? No. Is that, do you agree, Keith?
Well, if we, complete annexation into Ash Creek, we are not the wastewater purveyor here in the town, the Ash Creek.
Even if we do not complete the annexation into Ash Creek, can they still bring this private sewer line into Zion Marketplace? And your answer is?
I don't believe there's any, we were asked by the town to be the body politic. We're fulfilling that service
For Zion Marketplace.
for Zion White Bison, and that service, when it included the large septic, included us maintaining and taking care of that system. Now, the state's saying, hey, we'll provide funding. I think, I guess the question is there the intent by the city to obstruct that or to try to impede that?
With Ash Creek being a special service district and a political subdivision of the state, they are unlike other private utility providers that would, either you can have a franchise to be within our rights of way. But they do not, and normally we don't require any sort of encroachment permits or anything like that from them. So they could come through our rights of way, and this is only serving a private.
Those who choose to connect. So,
It can happen.
okay, that's what I wanted to be.
So can I reiterate the question,
Yes.
because that question makes me apprehensive. Is the intent to obstruct the project? Because we were asked when we came in good faith, and this was a large liability to Ash Creek, not only for White Bison, but for design comms projects, down on Sheep Ridge, Steve LeBrie, for Justin Christensen. There's been a variety of different applications that have come, and they've totally been shuttled over to Ash Creek to say, hey, take care of that. And we've responded, although Virgin had not annexed, we've acted in good faith, I feel like, and if there is an intent to change that relationship, I have always said the town is more than capable to be the body politic, but up until now, they've had no desire or interest to do that, and they've been very quick at calling us to do it.
We've always said we don't have the means, manpower, and the, know-how, like what a special service district, that all we do is that. Mr. Chandler makes the point that this will be an obligation of the sewer districts. It's a substantial obligation. They don't want to move forward with the obligation if they feel like this is going to be obstructed by
The town council.
and it shouldn't, I think he's asking for some guidance there. Obviously, there are multiple things that would have to take place that,
Okay, my main concern, I'll, just one second, and then we can talk, April. I just wanted to be clear that the people that would be paying for this, for those who choose to join. And these are those who could choose to join, I assume, need to be along the highway.
Right now, I think we only have two people who want to review. Use new further. There's more than that, so. I'm leaving the organization of the private funding to Jared to lead up. But whoever they present to Ash Creek is saying, hey, this is our coalition, this is how we propose to back the project. Problem is, I'm being asked to take on $6 million in debt. I don't wanna take that on to facilitate something, and then find that everything I've been asked to do, now I'm being blamed for enabling.
Okay.
This is a little bit of circular reasoning. And so I want it to be clear for me as well, because I have to go back to my board. The state has authorized the funding. We have not closed. We haven't gone through our bond attorneys. We haven't finished that out. We need to have some assurances that there's good faith on both sides here.
Go ahead, Nicole. I have another question, but I'll, go ahead.
Mike, hey, I appreciate you coming to tell us about this project. I think one of the issues is that we were all kind of felt like we were not informed until this point. And I discovered it by watching a DWQ Zoom meeting. And I know, and the reason I voted to join Ash Creek is because we already have all these large projects with a lot of waste disposal issues. And you even said in a transcript on the March meeting that some of these commercial developments are having difficulties with their lead systems. So it's probably a good thing that we have a sewer system and design, funded to move forward with that. The only thing I want to make sure is that you can't possibly move forward until some of these entities that are in the private review of the feasibility study, that like sign on the dotted line and say that they're in, because they have to pay like $122 per ERC, so some of them a
Well,
month.
and that is variable because you have some established businesses, some that are yet to build. And so what it means for us is a $230,000 annual debt service that we gotta make those payments. And so if we have, a variety of businesses, some that are building new connections, Zion White Bison has a fair bit to build out. Fairfield Inn is fairly built out, Zion RV Resort is built out. And so there's also a variety of distinct business interest situations and contexts that makes a funding agreement like this a little more tricky in it, but you're right. I think in the initial analysis, the build out was roughly 122 per connection.
That's what the estimate
The
was.
concern for me is build out is not what's here today. And how many years will it take White Bison to build out and other connections and proposed partners in this proposal? That's where the state can say, hey, we would love to get all these large septics off of the river. One of the things that I think everybody knows, we got a shallow shelf of groundwater that flows, and whether it's Zion RV Resort or the Fairfield or down at White Bison, you dig down there by the river, you got moving water, you can see through the trenches. And so the state's concern, I think, is valid, but from our standpoint, the state will hand out money to anybody who will take a check and say we'll pay it back. I have to say to my board, do we have a bona fide plan of how this will be repaid? And that we aren't ending up unduly carrying the debt. One of the things that I've had to consider is if some of these projects fail, where some of that contingency was granted, are there some things that I can do on the back end further down the line in Laverton, which is already a member city, that may take some more money, but then that sweetens the deal for my board to say, hey, we'll carry a little bit of the debt service, the private partner will carry a little bit of the debt service. So there's, we're still trying to fill some of this out. As much as I say there's a plan here, we haven't signed checks. And so part of that is, my concern is if there's an intent that every step of the way, the city's gonna challenge the permits and other things, and or hey, we can't build in the rights of way, that makes it much more harder for me to recoup the debt service that I've got to make payments every year once that bonding is signed off on.
As far as I know, that is not the intention.
Okay,
However, to me, the whole purpose of tonight is to assuage concerns and worries among people with their residents,
correct.
their homes, that they are going to be required to join this, and I want to make sure that they understand what the plan is.
So I'll follow up with that. When are you guys gonna make it?
Well, I don't know, maybe 20 years from now.
I think that for some time now, that question's come to me and I responded the same way every time. That's gotta be, and I mentioned, there's gotta be a vote, because you will be incurring that debt, even if it's ultimately just like this situation, I'm incurring the debt. But we go in and say, hey, Virgin doesn't have a great credit rating, Ash Creek does, we can carry that debt service, but we work together with you in collecting.
Okay,
It's probably more advantageous for me to bond for it than for you to bond for it. And as teaming partners, we go that way. But I don't wanna take any more debt for a fickle partner.
okay, I just wanna be sure that the business owners along Highway 9 know that are you going to require them to connect?
No,
It's their choice.
if they want to, and if they want to, they better get on board quickly, because the plans will be made around those entities that are intending to participate. Like right now, Steve Labrie is putting in a LUD system, his system will not easily connect to that force. Everything right now starts as I my bicycle. Stu Ferber is able to kind of put in a pump station and connect to that. People further to the west, that's not as easy, that's gonna be much more challenging, and the project is not conceived that way to incorporate those things. I could see some other businesses coming in more easily to the east. Sure, well,
Make it quick,
You're-
because, make it quick, I've got Gene Ryan's gotta get out of here before too long.
So yeah, so there's the mobile home park that we're neighbors to,
Mhm.
that constantly has trouble with their septic, and they would like to connect. There's the vacation homes, I believe there's 5 or 6 lots to the west of us.
Observation states.
Yep, they do. Several of them have voiced that they would like to connect. We designed our system within White Bison to be a community system. We've stubbed a 10-inch sewer line to Water Street. We've stubbed an 8-inch line straight up to the highway and one out to the west, what we call our west pond. So like if somebody in the Cornelia, the K property, if they wanted to bore under the highway and gravity flow into the lift station, they could get out. But the system's been designed as a force main everywhere else, and unless you're connecting somehow naturally to that gravity system, it's not like you could easily connect. But the hope is that naturally people, if they want to connect, they could. And so I'm in Leeds, we've had this run in Leeds multiple times where we felt like we were gonna be forced on the sewer, but nobody wants to be forced onto anything. So we've really taken a lot of care here because of that experience to make sure we've designed the system physically and legally to where if you connect, it's because you want to connect.
Okay, that's my main issue, that I want people in the town, business owners and homeowners, to understand that what this is and whether they are going to be forced to connect. That's the main issue to me.
And
And you look like you wanted to say something.
Okay, I just wanted, I know this has been answered and I understand it, but I think because the purpose of it, we should probably have it spelled out. So it was just pretty simple. There is someone that has said that we can, there was 300 feet, if it comes within 300 feet, you're telling you have to connect. Is that true?
Yeah, that's one of them. So
So let's use an example, he just said that the mobile home park wants to connect. And there's some houses over here that are, there's a log cabin and then there's a couple of others up the hill. Will they have to connect?
No.
And who's expected?
So this is the nuance, is that our rules, as far as connecting, and what the state is requiring in this, does not require the connection. This is a public-private partnership project. This is not a community sewering project. The reason the state and Ash Creek has that rule in place is as you go to take on $6, $7, $8 million worth of debt, the farther you can spread that and connect as many people as possible makes the project financially viable for the community. If everybody pays a little instead of everybody needing to pay, selectively not participating. And so that, I want to be clear, that is a rule of ours, that's the rule of the states. But that rule is not being applied in this project because this is a public-private partnership project. Once we expand sewer out into the community, that will be a question that says, okay, is it expanding because Justin Christensen is building homes up on Poplar Road? And does he need to build a system down that connects to this? That's a great question. Well, how would the city like to proceed? Like, I'm coming saying, you tell me, like our rules typically would, and what we found is as much as there may be resistance to it, you may have 2 or 3 people who say like, I'd like to get off my septic tank. I've had problems with it. Can I connect? Would you like to let them connect? Say, well, we'd like to have as many people possible.
But basically the point, and he's just indicated he wants to say something, but the point is, this is not a community system.
This is not a
It's
community
private
service.
system.
Not required.
Not required.
That was not required.
But in this same veins, the question I have for you, Mike. Are you asking of the town to make a commitment to the district that we will require any new subdivisions or new developments to connect to this line? So that you could have additional users, additional cash flows and service debt?
So one of the things that will be asked of Virgin, once the annexation is complete, is to adopt our rules of operation. So that as we come up in inspections, and part of these rules say, yeah, people should connect. If you're wanting a variance to that rule, or what we've typically done is we'll grant variances 1 by 1. We don't give blanket variances typically. And so we'd say, yeah, if we have a new subdivision coming in, we do want that. Absolutely. The concern is Virgin has already completed multiple studies that say we're seeing an accumulation of nitrogen and other things within the soil and the ground. This isn't magic fairy dust. This happens all over the country all the time and the challenge is that over the course of 50, 60 years, 2 lifetimes of homeowners, people will say, hey, I grew up there and we never had a problem. But then 60, 70 years later, all of a sudden we're seeing contamination. And yet people will say, well, I never would have thought.
Okay,
So part of the question there is for the town, and I think one of those questions that comes back to the question regarding connection is, do you intend to, the real gatekeeper there is changing zoning on parcels, allowing additional residential and or commercial growth. Like that is where the city gets to keep their foot on or off the throttle.
okay, I don't wanna mix apples and oranges here. We're talking, you said we're not a community system, this is a private system.
This
Yeah,
project,
this other stuff you're talking about comes into play if we wanna do a community system, we're not talking about a community system, we're talking about a private system, so I wanna keep the focus on a private system. And that's what this is that you've told me is coming to town, and I wanna make sure that everybody in this room knows they do not have to connect unless they choose to. Thank you.
I have one comment to make about that. So according to the feasibility study, there are 2 phases. Phase 1A and phase 1B. It looked like phase 1A was the project need for all of us, the developers, hook up that are listed in there.
no, that would just be Jared's project.
Okay,
That's just White Bison. 1B is actually Stu Ferber's and down the road, because that will require a separate pump station feed into Zion White Bison.
okay, because it says phase 1B will have connections for several other existing communities.
Community, probably a misuse of that word, because we have Auto Camp, we have Wildflower, we have any number, but at the time this was put together, they were the state was casting a net and saying, hey, who are the large systems in the area that we would like to say, hey, please consider connecting. And again, as a public-private partnership, if they can spread this as far as they can across the business entities, it reduces the cost to each user as well. How many of those actually show up and write checks and say, yeah, we're in? That's always where the proof is input, so.
So phase one might be that first paragraph, and phase two under project needs, and phase two is the second paragraph.
As I understand it right now, phase one is just the Zion White Bison project. Phase two is a pump station that will be probably located down by Zion RV Resort, because Fairfield and everything would drain down to that and then pump up around the highway and join the Zion White Bison project. How many of those entities out on that east end kind of connect? I don't know. Ultimately, who will join.
So if this project is actually built, it depends on how much cooperation you can get from all of these private entities.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mike, what's the status on the annexation? Where are we at in the process?
So there is a, it's in the 60-day comment period. At the end of that comment period, the state takes any comments and or concerns under advisement. I have not been privy to anything. Devin Snow, the county attorney's kind of been navigating that. He usually will let me know if there's any big concerns or things that way. Once that's completed, then they will forward it to the lieutenant governor's office from the county commission, and the lieutenant governor will finalize the annexation.
When's the 60-day then?
I don't know exactly. They told me it would be completed in August, so I'm assuming it'll be kind of end of July, and then by end of August, maybe early September, that annexation will be.
Yeah, they opened it like June 2nd, I think,
Yeah.
is when they did.
Once you get a conclusion of the comment period, then they have to notice another public hearing, and then it's a formal ordinance annexing us, and that along with the annexation map gets sent out to the lieutenant governor's office, signed, comes back down here, we report the map, we report the ordinance, and the annexations.
So it seems to be on track for September 30th then.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the whole
and
thing. It was milestone.
So I have a kind of a follow-up question to my question. Is there a standby fee for residents? And is there any billing that will attach to them until they have to join? That's gonna be,
We don't do step by fees, so.
and then when it is billed, is it a separate fee or are we gonna bill it to now?
we go to the town. We adopt their rules of operation. One of those rules is that we handle the billing. And of that, we along with our other things.
Even for the private?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Well, I don't know on that, one. If that one is a matter of 2 or 3 or 4 private entities, that maybe the district would do that.
We would have been billing them presumably for some time.
Yeah,
Typically with our member cities, the cities do the billing, they retain 5% of that, because they're cut for covering the overhead costs and everything else on that, and then the rest is sent to Ashford. So we help fund that, bill collection as far as things that.
Okay. I assume after this that you might like to have some sort of indication from the town council as to what their thoughts are regarding this, because you said you didn't want to have us interfere or what's the word you use?
Unless you want to interfere.
No.
You're free to interfere.
Obstruct, that's the word.
And if you want, all I want is just clarity, I guess, and what I'm taking is, from the questions I've heard, we're moving forward. If there's concerns, like, please, my office doors, you guys are becoming a member city. Like, come, if you want my cell phone, I can give it out here, everybody. If you wanna call, if there's additional questions, any concerns, I'm happy to sit down and go through them. If there's, at some point along this, there's something that gives you pause, please reach out. I have no
Okay,
problems.
we had already kind of discussed a little bit about businesses and what we could do for businesses, where as long as it didn't impact any place else in town, so. This just fits with what we kind of.
I don't think that, I don't have any trouble with the project, I just like to, I guess my disappointment was we weren't, kind of informed.
Well, and I apologize, I realize, and I tried to describe there was two parallel paths, and I may not have done the best job of distinguishing between those two as they occurred late last year and earlier this year, but hopefully that's clear.
Okay, thank you, that's it. I'm gonna let Jean come up next and do your quick thing, and you can take off to their meeting. Taking it out of order, but she needs to, he needs to go, he needs to go.
We've got an excited group of 12-year-olds on the block, acres.
Would you see if that? Yeah, okay.
You guys can talk closer, you know, nice, getting them louder.
Okay. All right, not a lot's changed, there's a few things though, Unplug at the top of your list there. Have completed all their DRC meetings and reviews of their project, and their application is in process. The Labrie project continues to move forward, nothing new there, April, I got your data, never mind.
Great.
The RIV at Zion, that's Jeff Lee's project is approved and under construction still, as you see when you drive by. Nothing new on Virgin Goods this last month. Didn't have any meetings or any change there. Zion White Bison as well, there was a concern last meeting about a building that had gone up, or it looked like it had gone up, it was a couple of storage units that they put gables on. The owners of the property were unaware they thrown some gables up on top of it, so that has been, it was built already, but they're going through the process to get the permitting with that, because it was thrown up without a permit, and it did require that. Coyle Mesa, nothing new on them as well. They're still working on the things that the tasks they were given at the last DRC meeting. Zion Park K-Way, also nothing changed there. And then we have a new one, Mr. Tom Lacoste is working on trying to work with our ordinances. There's some ambiguity that we're working through regarding putting in a couple of workforce housing units. For those who don't know, Tom Lacoste's property is commercial. He zoned it way back in the day, he has a lot of commercial ground. It's not a fronting SRM. He's looking to do a couple of workforce housing units, but our ordinances are kind of in the dark on that. So the mayor will be getting together with all of you and the commission to come up with some standards on that. That's all I got. Any questions for me this time?
So I think I'd like to see on this list is, do you have any like scheduling in terms of, for example, the Brewery project, they're building a gas station and convenience store? What's the scheduling for the bungalow restaurant fire? I mean, do you ever get with them with any kind of scheduling?
Not at this point in the game where they have a permitting, they pretty much just work their schedule. If things come up that create questions, then I'm in contact with them, but they're finished with their meetings as far as their projects. And then we typically have the first Monday, or I'm sorry, the fourth Monday of the month. At, thank you, 2:30 is when we have our DRC meetings. But that's only as needed, as people come in. Now, if there's questions from the community, a lot of times I'll get phone calls asking specific questions about the project, not just Labrie's, but others. In those instances, I'll call the owners and ask them questions and then return that phone call to the residents.
So it sounds like to me that the question that you were asking about whether or not we can add scheduling over here would require Jean to contact the different projects and get from them some sort of schedule. They probably would miss their schedule on a regular basis.
That could be nice to know how they're coming along.
Yeah.
It says like they're under construction, but like, does that mean?
Yeah,
they'll be under construction for a year?
Construction's kind of fluid depending on who's doing the construction.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
what's in demand of the project, they might not be, like, I know we all sat and watched it, it took forever for them to do their excavating, but that was. Could have been a contractor problem, not necessarily there, so it's hard to get an exact.
I get what you're saying,
But
because I know
it would be
they
nice.
told us that they were gonna be working on bungalows simultaneously with the gas station.
Right.
But as of yet, they haven't started, and I imagine they're still working through the engineering steps with the lands to make sure that the engineer that designed them before they were shipped here meets the criteria for our county and national building codes. So sometimes that stuff gets held back, but I can ask all of these guys for a schedule of.
I mean, it doesn't have to be an exact schedule or a detailed schedule, just a kind of a.
Yeah, like I've asked you.
What your
Yeah, whenever I talk to, I was like, so about, you know, when's it gonna come, when's this gonna open? And I was like, in here, okay, that's like, yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So also,
So that's probably what he, that's probably what he would like to.
any other questions?
But it would be nice, I think I agree with you, a little bit less.
Yeah.
All right, I have some questions.
Thank you.
So, we were asking if we could come back.
Oh, I just. You have to. Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna go back. We can set it again. Okay, I want to make sure that we take something on this. Okay, so I let Gene, out of order as to how I had it on the agenda, but he has another meeting he has to be to at 7:00. So he's got 10 minutes. So, let's see, going back up to our agenda. Next is the, consent agenda, the approval of minutes from the two May town council meetings and approval of checks and invoices for April and May. What?
Come on, pledge and fun.
If you guys want to do the pledge, we'll stand under the pledge.
I'm just asking a question, they're on the.
I know it's on the agenda, but when we move some things, so, I mean, if we want to do the pledge, we can stand up and do the pledge. Okay, all right. Okay. It's just a standard thing on the agenda. Okay, so the consent agenda. Approval of minutes. I have reviewed the minutes. I made some changes. I did it on paper, and I will hand this to April at the end of the meeting. I had a couple of things I need to ask Pete about stuff that's on the minutes. So I haven't handed it in yet. Yeah, so I will give this to Crystal, and of course, I signed all the checks in April and May, so I know what those are. So, can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Well, so on the checks, I went through them, I had a lot of questions, but they didn't get posted until yesterday late, and so I didn't have time.
Yeah,
To talk to anybody about.
Check the invoice was 60 days old, we barely got the check registered last night.
Okay, so in other words, we're going to be approving the minutes and forgetting the checks and invoices for now. Is that the plan? Let's just move on.
I have
Tell me which one.
So minutes is, it makes.
All right, so you guys are gonna be making, somebody is going to make a motion to approve the minutes and set aside the checks and invoices for yet another month. That's fine, somebody make a motion, let's move on.
Motion to approve the minutes of May 16, 2024, and May 21st, 2024 for the town council meeting. And the table, the approval of check and invoices to the next meeting.
I'll second.
I will, all in favor? Aye. Okay, all right. Is Bronwyn here? She's not here to do, you're gonna do her meeting, her, report? So Darlene is going to do the report for the planning commission regarding upcoming meetings or appointments.
So good evening. We had our first open house for the general plan. It went very well. I saw a lot of fresh faces, people I had never met before. And we got some really, really good input, but we're planning for a second one in August, early August. I'm just waiting to see if the day you chose is open. And that will probably be on a Saturday, late morning, early afternoon. And we'll also have our suggestion box at the 4th of July event as well, in case you would like to add some information there. And we encourage everyone to come out and get your voices heard, because we've got some good input. I got some great input on several of the ordinances we're working on. The one that is coming up next is our dark sky, or lighting, dark sky presentation, lighting ordinance. We're revisiting the sign ordinance after some excellent feedback from a couple of members of the community. So that's ready to go, and we are moving forward and just enjoying the interaction with the community. Thank you.
So what was the date that you guys are looking at for the next open house?
I haven't gotten my confirmation. We were thinking August 3rd.
August, sometime in August.
Yeah.
So I thought that your planning auxiliary did a really excellent job putting together the open house. I attended it and I like the way they had it set up. And it got a lot of input. I appreciate that.
Oh, I thought it was very nice. Okay, so next is, open forums. If there's anyone here in the room that has something you would like to, comment on that is not on the agenda, tap.
My name is Pat Galvez. It's cooler up here. I'll talk for an hour. So, I have a letter email given to me by Lori Rhodes. So I'll read this first, then I have another issue of my own. Or excuse me, an expression of my own. So Lori wrote an email titled, "No neighborhood input for proposed firehouse at corner of 100 South of Mill Street." I read the newsletter article on the town hall / LDS church with unexpected alarm. While I have long been an advocate for the town acquiring this property to meet our needs of larger office and meeting space, I am aghast that both the fire district and the sheriff have been given an opportunity to put a firehouse or satellite sheriff facility on the opposite corner without any public input that I am aware of. The normally quiet residential neighborhood has not been included in this decision in any way. And as stated, this would have very, quote, far-reaching consequences, unquote, to this part of town. Consequences that most neighbors are likely to be very upset by. Nor does it appear there's any intent to include us, given the statement, quote, "As each of the consequences occur, I will discuss them in future newsletters," unquote. From the newsletter, it states, acquisition of both the church and the underdeveloped parcel across the street from the church will have far-reaching consequences for the town. As each of the consequences occur, I will discuss in future newsletters. However, please note that both the Washington County Sheriff and the Hurricane Valley Fire District have designs on new facilities located on the property. End quote. Question, is this yet another example of how the town treats established residential neighborhoods? I request that any real or perceived authorization for the fire district or the sheriff be immediately rescinded, and that a legitimate planning process for the future uses of the undeveloped acre be started, which includes substantial neighborhood representation. Sincerely, Lori Rhodes. So she emailed me, she couldn't be here tonight. So if I may do my presentation, less than 2 minutes. If you've been to the post office and you come out and you turn left, we've had a long time set of honor awards at the Stagecoach Grill from Best of Southern Utah. Those flags, when you drive a small car, block your view, making a safe left turn around the corner of that intersect or that highway. So I was contacted first by Bill and Sue Swenson this fall to talk to the town of Laburkin, as they had, and I got a response from the police chief, Nick Nusatelli, who said he talked to the restaurant owner and UDOT and the town ordinances, nothing was wrong, nothing in violation. So about 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from Cheryl and Steve Sampson, who had done on their own a contact or complaint with Laburkin. And Cheryl had a meeting with the chief of police, and I met with her, and we went and got the restaurant manager, whose name is Jimmy Stover. And we talked with him and the police chief, and they removed the flags within a week or so. And Jimmy's gonna be putting up some high flying, clapping banners acknowledging his accolades to the restaurant. So it's just a nice example of people concerned about getting something safer, made better, and being persistent, and working with the business owner. And the signs are down, and hopefully the flag will be out of the view and make it safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat, those were in the way for visual, I agree.
But
I've thought about going and talk to the restaurant, swear about that. Yeah.
yeah, Carol did too. She's done it. You can hear herself.
So is there anyone else in the room that has a comment or open forum, otherwise, okay, Cameron?
I'm sorry to keep you. I know this is not on the agenda today. I just wanted to comment on the ordinance that I thought was gonna be on the agenda,
The square
the
footage?
square footage one.
Okay.
So I just, so a lot of the reasons given for this, ordinance, I won't go through each one by one. I don't have 2 minutes. I tend to ramble anyway, so, the reasons given for the ordinance, are not actually accomplished by the ordinance. It does not maintain the character of the town because many buildings that are in town are already in violation of the ordinance and would have to be grandfathered. So it does not do that. It does not make homes, less expensive in the town because afford the 800 square foot, or even the 3,000 square foot, or even a 2,000 square foot home in Virgin is not affordable. So it does not make homes affordable by my definition. Now, if your definition of affordable is $500,000, then I guess it does that, but it does not make it affordable for the average working person. So the ordinance does not do that. I have no problem with the restriction to the one water hookup. That does not seem to be an issue. That seems fine. Limiting a building to a 1,500 square foot or 1,500 gallon septic tank would not allow a home to build more than 5 rooms that could be used as a bedroom. So if you have an office that has a window and it could be a bedroom, Southwest Health Department is gonna call it a bedroom, because it could be a bedroom. And so you cannot have more than 5 rooms. My house, which is quite small, under 2,000 square feet, has 6 rooms that could be considered bedrooms. And so my house again would not fit that because of the square foot or the gallon requirement for the septic tank. So I think that's not appropriate either. And that's all. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Otherwise, Missy has something, someone emailed her that she would like to. Read. Jay, yes. Not yet, we're in another forum. I didn't realize you had a report, Missy.
It was a comment, they wanted to have things and they couldn't, they wanted to know. Wants to know, the water has been very full of bubbles. It also tastes metallic and not good. And, they've also noticed it not just in one section of town, which would be the center of town, they also noticed it out by Desert Gardens. And, there's been a very intense chlorine smell to it at times, and now that's missing from it. So he said, actually, the description is drinking out of a hose, that's what it tastes like, is drinking out of a hose. It tastes metallic, and I don't know if that's proper. And Darlene's raising her hand saying that's a second to what I just said. Yes, so that was from a citizen that just wanted that.
Okay, did they say any place about where this was?
Yeah,
All
down here and also in Desert Gardens, but Darlene is backing that one.
Yes, I understand that.
Cameron, has it been done at your house? Are you backing that up or no, just for my comments?
My water.
We're the first house on the tank, it's the west side down, so we die first if it gets poisoned. And we've not noticed that, but we have a water softener.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I.
So, yeah, I don't know if that, well, we haven't noticed bubble thing now.
The bubbling in the chlorine.
Kind of area,
I mean, I think
yeah.
that this was just for minimal. That's it.
Yeah.
Anything else for open forum? Nope. Okay. Okay. Council comments. Council comments is next, and then we get to the public hearing. So do you have any council comments, April? It sounds like you do.
So I have been working on a like development program, and there's some training available.
Speak louder.
Okay.
I gotta make sure it's on.
I have been working on the floodplain development permit, and there's training available. So if anybody's interested, I can read it out. It's in the link. And, so I was gonna talk about the general plan open house. I thought it was really a great event. And, oh, so I think we need to, take a look at, town in terms of people that are allowing like weeds to grow and these, especially some of the developments that aren't completed. They seem to be, allowing a lot of weeds to be on their property, so perhaps we can have our public works person, we have one. Take a look at that. Oh, the other question I had, then, so did anybody find out about the transient resort tax?
No, Paul said at the work meeting the other day that he was still researching. You're talking about, increasing it?
Yes.
Yeah, Paul said he had some more research he's done.
Okay, that's all, yeah.
Marcy?
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize Darcy for all of her efforts, coordination and putting together the 4th of July event. She's done a really great job. Sounds like it'll be a fun day. I hope everybody comes.
This I do a very nice addition.
It worked out well and it can be used for any of it. Yeah.
Misty? Any comments?
That was it.
Oh, that was your comment.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
very complimentary.
So I will respond with a question for the town council as a response to the thing that Pat read for Lori. And I want to ask the town council, are you aware of us authorizing anything with regard to the fire station or sheriff? No.
No, I don't
Thank you.
believe we authorized it.
We have not even, have we even discussed it? No, here.
Well,
Hang on. Thank you. Yeah. We have not discussed it, we have not authorized a single thing. And when I said in the newsletter that they had designs, I did not mean that they had a design. I meant they had designs. They had wishes, they had designs on the property. So that's all the word design meant. It did not mean that there were physical designs that were drawn out. That's not what I meant. Okay, so that's it for council comments. Oh, we did have to get the loan extended on the east water tank. There was a delay for a couple of reasons, and just today, we had a meeting, I don't know if you were watching the DWQ board meeting.
Not today.
Okay, well, I was on. So, at the very, very, very end of a 2-hour meeting, we were on for 5 minutes for them to extend our loan for another year. Okay, so let's move on. Next is the public hearing. So take a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to close the public meeting and open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first up, we have a resolution that is letter K, that is a letter to amend the adopted budget for this fiscal year that closes 5 days from today. Has anyone in the room got any comments to make? I'm sorry, I'll get back to you, Jay. I forgot, I'm sorry. Does anyone have any comments that they would like to make on the current fiscal year budget? Okay. Item 2 on the public hearing, resolution letter L. A resolution to adopt the final budget for next fiscal year that starts in 6 days. Any comments from the public on that budget? Okay, next, ordinance 2024-08, an ordinance amending the Virgin Municipal Code, setting forth town treasurer compensation. Anyone in the room have any comments on that ordinance? I take that as a no. Okay, lastly is resolution letter M. And this is a resolution that will be amending the 5-year capital improvement plan. What this is amending the plan to include items that we put in the budget for next fiscal year that involve capital improvements. And so this is just amending the capital improvement plan, showing that these capital improvements are going to be done next year. Any public comment on that? Yes, Cameron, really? Okay.
Sorry. No, I don't think it's any cooler out there. You're not all, okay, okay, so I had a couple concerns with this plan and maybe on off base with it a little bit, but it looks substantially different than the last one I saw, so. Oh, sorry, it looks different than the last one I saw, so. Starting at the top, the first one that I noticed was removing the concrete barriers and poles in the Sierra Bella and repaint the lines.
What are you looking at? Because I'm looking at this.
Yeah, right there,
It's on there.
number 3, year 1. Third line, year 1.
Number 3, okay, sorry, I was looking at the first one.
Yeah, sorry, no, this is number 3, first one. Removing the concrete barriers, poles and edges here, but I'm sure that's a great project. I don't know if that's of vital importance to the town. That probably affects maybe 2 people. That use that road in the Sierra Valley.
To remove the concrete barrier and the pole?
Yeah. So it says remove concrete.
Yeah, but how would that bother you?
It bothers me because it's high on the list in year 1,
Oh, okay,
when it seems to be, a fairly unimportant item,
okay,
especially in the roads and streets. I don't know, our streets are pretty bad.
okay, I thought maybe you were objecting to it being done.
No, I'm not objecting to it being done at all. I'm objecting to it being placed in year 1.
Okay.
Or on the capital improvements plan at all, for that matter, maybe in year 5, but, the next line says pavement plan. I can't, well, it says pavement plan. Not plan, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming maybe plan.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Looked, tried to find it, called to the office, can't find it, don't know what that is. So I don't know why a plan that's not existing in writing is on our capital improvements plan. So I'm not objecting to paving roads, I'm just wondering why it's there, and we don't even know what that means. Crack sealing asphalt and desert gardens estate. Not objecting to doing it, that just seems more like a maintenance project and not a capital improvements project. It seems to me that there's far more larger issues that should be placed on the plan, and that would be a maintenance plan. Just crack scale, I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done, just saying where it's at. Again, second year pavement plan, no idea what that is. Traffic calming devices on 100 West, SR9, 100 South. Can't find any information on what those traffic calming devices would be. If it's trees or if it's road bumps or speed bumps or, I just don't know what those are. So they're not defined. And then in the second year, we have Bridge to Rio de Zion, on the north pillar, needs examined. I'm examining existing infrastructure seems to be not a capital improvements expense. If it needed a repair, that would be capital improvement, but just to investigate it, does not seem to be a capital improvements project. Mirror to reflect oncoming traffic, great, sounds fine. Seems like a small expense and should not be on the capital improvements plan because it's so small. Again, have a pavement plan. I don't know no other objections to, that, other than the pavement plan keeps appearing. Oh, and then you have, that's in the next slide, so you can keep going, that's all for the roads. I can look down to my notes here. Oh, a comment for roads, one of your capital improvements ought to be looking at the highway access to 50 south by the 101. That entrance into the highway is probably the worst entrance into the highway in all of town. So that should probably fit somewhere in the plan. I would guess it'd be in the 5-year section. Because that would probably be a pretty large project, and we should start planning for it, but not anytime soon.
Doesn't, you don't have that in your, yeah.
And it might be in your master transportation plan, I'm not
No,
sure.
they called me and said they were going to do something about it this summer, but then I haven't heard from them in probably 2 months. It was about 2 months ago, they called and said they were gonna do that, and then haven't heard anything.
And if it was part of our master, or our capital improvements plan, then I'm just gonna move forward fast with that. Especially if they get the funding, I think that, in the Parks and Rec, part of that 5-year plan should include, addition of other parks, which would be great. Maybe that wouldn't make the 5-year plan also. It's not in there, but that, there's not having any problems with that, other than that. There's nothing in yours too, but
About what parks you say?
adding parks.
Yeah, okay.
Adding some parks, I know there's been discussion about that in the past, but that's not on the plan, so. And then capital improvements on the water. Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating to me to see that, replacing the old water line, the old rotting water line is not on this plan.
Yes, it is.
You'll have to direct me to it, 'cause
It's on, the water lines are on,
year 2,
year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, it's on all of them. Water lines in town, per pages 11, 15, and a pat piece 7 to include distribution and open socket. That's every single year.
I apologize, I missed that. No problem with the acquisitions. I don't quite understand why, we have building the fence around the water stations twice in 2 different capital improvements. So that's a little, I just don't know why it's there.
Is this on, I don't. Okay.
Both things need fencing and better locks for security is under water capital improvements, and it's under other capital improvements.
Oh, okay.
It's under the water one, it even says it's listed.
Yes.
I don't know why it's listed twice. Yeah, I wish there was some other stuff listed in the other plan, because I don't know what those items would be per se, but not having them just means that if funding does come available, then we're not gonna be able to pay for those on. Okay, that's what I had, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Anybody else with any comments on the capital improvements? I'll take that as a no, so we can close the public meeting.
Motion to close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting.
Second.
All in favor, I will take. Do I need a roll call vote on this? No, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so before we move on to talking about approving all of these resolutions and ordinances, I will let Jay do this report. Okay.
Right, this stuff last month, for your information, last week was National Mosquito Awareness Week.
Did not know
Okay, there's a report on our mosquito bait. We have an agreed upon procedure that we do every other year for in place of our audit, because we have a budget under $1 million. Once we have a budget over $1 million, then we have to have an audit every year. We do, anyway, and everything turned out good on that. There was no, thing that was a problem there. The fraud risk assessment, for 2024. We are in good shape. We're very low on fraud. We have 375 points out of 395 on that. John presented a new category on the salary wage range for full-time, non-benefited positions. We can hire employees into these positions to work full-time at year long, all year long, and as long as we don't offer any benefits. The reason we can do this is because these people are we just redid our wage structure, and they can get hired on at a higher wage as a full-time employee, and they're only gonna be there for a year. So because they're only gonna be there 1 year, we don't have to offer them benefits like you do with other full-time positions. You see, Sean shared with us projects that he's working on other than mosquito abatement. One is where the district is working with the Department of National Resources for public education outreach. We provide field trips for grades 1 through 6. Flood control and water conservancy district, we use water reservoirs. Paiute tribe, the Shipwhip, we're helping them set up a new mosquito district for the reservation. And they know nothing about mosquito basement out there. Sean spent a lot of time out there helping them. Local health department, we're writing mosquito article for their summer magazine issue. Couple other things, mosquito abatement, Sean has just finished training on the algae in the river, how to identify it, etc. This is the stuff that kills small animals. And we really had a problem with up at our irrigation, that stuff keeps clogging up our streams up there, and it's really an issue. And so Sean says that he can help the town out with, if they have any questions on this, just calling right across the street. We have no West Nile virus here, however, Vegas has a lot of West Nile virus. Matter of fact, Vegas is so high, they're the highest in the nation right now for West Nile virus. So mosquito abatement is keeping a really close eye on that. Birds seem to bring that in, so we're watching that close. Anyway, that's the other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
I'm good with you.
It's warm.
Yes, warm in here.
Very warm.
Okay. So now we're on to our motion and vote on 8. We got 4 resolutions and 4 ordinances. So, approval of the resolution K, amending the budget for fiscal year 23-24. Any discussion on that? We've already gone over the budget at our work meeting last week. Anything else to discuss regarding that? If not, I will go ahead and take a motion to approve the resolution.
I will have.
You think,
Yeah, I agree.
okay, we can do that.
Yeah, what's wrong?
I can see there's some green stuff on there, green, so maybe.
I will go around here from this here. That'll cover what's- Dean, I just have questions on follow-up from the work meeting.
Yes.
There were a couple of things that we talked about that it was suggested could be added to the 24 budget. The HR surveys,
Yes,
Unipro,
that was in the amended budget that we had.
on June 12th, on the June 12th document, that was already in it.
That was in the document that you had in your folder.
Okay, I thought that that had been added.
No, that was added
It would be,
already.
Yeah,
That was already on.
okay, thank you, that's okay.
I had written.
I guess I misunderstood
Okay,
that.
no, I had written to Candace an email saying, here's all the things I needed in the amended budget, and she said, okay, and then she sent us an amended budget. That's what we had at the council at our meeting last week.
Okay,
Okay.
and I thought, I thought you were gonna follow up with the email to.
I can send it to you right now, it's not gonna make any difference, because it's all in there, but I can send it to you.
But I just curious. And then with us not approving checks and invoices, but are part of 24's budget, how does that affect?
Well, that's the problem, because we have to approve this by June 30th.
Yeah, that, I'm asking, I don't know what it says.
Well, to me, even though you guys have questions on the checks and invoices, Leroy and I went through the invoices, we approved everything, we signed off on all the checks, we felt that everything was a legitimate expense. And I personally feel that when you've got two people who have reviewed the checks and invoices, and oh my gosh, it's funny. I feel that with two people reviewing everything, that we have more than adequate, oversight, yes, thank you, oversight of what's being, spent. And that we should be able to approve the checks and invoices, even though you guys have questions, and that you guys can come in and ask your questions. But that we can still approve them because we've had such oversight. And that's just my personal opinion.
So what do you think we should do about that?
Well, I don't know, because the problem is the invoices get done, like today.
You're gonna skew budget.
This, the budget needs to be
But
approved.
yeah, but the budget's not going to be accurate if you have a whole bunch of expenses that are automatically gonna drop.
Oh, they've already been paid, they just don't want to approve them until they ask their questions. They've already been paid, the checks have been cashed, these are these are from April and May.
So why do we even have to vote on it then?
I don't know, because I have asked if we really need to send this to the town council to approve checks and invoices, because it's after the fact, it's all done. I don't know what the purpose of doing this is, to be honest, it's just been traditionally done this way. What do you think?
In other municipalities, it's not approval of checks and invoices, it is more of a financial summary that's given to the council so they can see expenses in the budget categories. And and it's just an acknowledgement, the vote is an acknowledgement of this is what they spend. Here, and I've got one other municipality that they actually look at the actual checks
Before or after?
after.
And Springdale, they have, I think they only look at, the council only looks at anything $1,000.
That's well, I don't know.
Yeah. So
And
I think it varies, but.
I can tell you from going to the solid waste district meetings that we have quarterly meetings and we approve the invoices and we have a printout we all look at it. Maybe 2 questions get asked, and it's 2 pages long, I mean, a solid,
They actually
solid
provide-
line, and
they
then
actually
we
provide
approve it.
copies of the invoices.
No, we're just always have a printout, that's it.
And we also are asked a question when it's auditing time to the auditors, if we feel like there's any fraud. And this is our way to review it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why. It's very hard.
So I almost think if we're asked to approve them, then we should know what we're approving and we should look at it. I mean, if we just want to take that off, then I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
it depends on what level of detail the council wants to be involved with. As a council, you are the policymakers, the legislators, of the town. As far as administration goes, you have some administrative functions, you administrate some of the land use things and stuff like that. Your budget is definitely, that thing that you are over, whether or not you get into the brass tacks of what was expended, how it was expended in which categories, if it was properly allocated or budgeted or assigned to a budget category, right? You can do that, but that's a council acting very administratively. That's what the mayor as the chief administrative officer has to do, unless we have a town manager, and the town manager does that along with the rest of the staff. And I like what Misty says, your review of this is, you guys approve the budgets, you're gonna have to approve any amendment to the budgets if some category is going way astray. And so it is a matter as much as information to the entity that's going to have to amend the budget if expenses are going, you know, if we're 82% of the budget period has elapsed and we've expended 40% of the budget, then we're fantastic. But if it's the other way around, if 40% of the budget year has elapsed and we've expended 82% of our budget, there should be some concerns, obviously. Whether or not you get, I guess my point is, April, you can. In the smaller the municipality, I see the more involved council wants to be in that, those types of things.
But it drags, it delays things.
Maybe we should just approve the financial report instead of checks and invoices.
So by refusing to approve the checks and invoices for April and May, what does that do for us approving this amended budget? Because of course, it's all in the budget. I mean, when we, do the financial statements that give us our amended budget for this fiscal year, they're all in there. It's all documented.
It's balanced, yes.
It's balanced. So does this, as Marcy's question, what does this do to us approving the budget for this fiscal year? Because we're got 5 days left.
That's not, no, it does.
That it does. I don't think it does.
If you were telling me you don't actually sign the checks, you prepare the checks and have them, and you don't sign them until council votes, then I'd say, well, we got a problem, because if we're holding back a whole bunch of payments and expenses, and it drops into the next budget year, then you're gonna automatically be way out of budget.
No,
for
these
the month.
have all been signed. They've even been cashed.
Okay.
So,
But then, you know,
and then some of the checks that were written today are things that were in the budget that you're approving, because I wrote to Candace and said, we're gonna need to pay this, please put this in the budget, and she did, and so those checks got written today. And signed already by the. So, so when we get our checks and invoices for June, that'll be next month's agenda, those went out today, or tomorrow.
The approval of expenses is more of a ceremonial function of the council.
yeah, we don't even have to do checks to,
No,
approve
just
or
sit there,
anything,
it's not
right, so.
They're just sitting
So that
there,
would
not
be the same
that
thing,
they
okay, you know, so.
So we can go ahead and approve the budget, so, okay, so can I have a motion to approve this resolution K, amending the budget?
I will make the motion to approve resolution R 2024-K, amended budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024.
I will second that motion. Okay, so let's take a vote. We'll start with Marcy.
Yes.
April,
Yes.
sorry, I'm looking at my list here. I'm not going to say, Misty
Yes.
and Jean, yes. Okay. Okay. Next is the resolution L, adopting the budget for next year. We've beaten this horse to death with 4 meetings, or well, more than 4 meetings where we discussed the budget. And it will get amended as the year goes along, because undoubtedly things will come along that will throw things off, unexpected expenses, unexpected things that happen.
So how often does that happen?
Quite often,
Quite often?
what, monthly.
Okay.
It's a big concept, if it's not in there, we have.
And so what I try to do is, what I have tried to do is to do quarterly amendments of the budget. So that we can, so that every 3 months we can look and see where things went, and then amend the budget to show, so that it keeps in balance through the year. And so you could do it once a month, but because we have to do a public hearing every time, it's like, oh, let's just do it quarterly. So, that's what I've been doing, quarterly budget amendments.
Did you see that Paul posted,
A question about the, no, what?
he posted a document about the budget because he's not here today?
No, I didn't see it.
I don't know. It's his, he just says this memo is to give you some final thoughts since the work session. I don't know if he wanted us to read it.
Look at it, I
But
haven't even looked at it.
yeah, it's not in the,
You said it's in SharePoint?
yes, but it is not. It's in the June folder, but it's not under the regular meeting.
Got it, I understand what you're saying.
Budget copy that. Yes, titled budget copy. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll read that.
And this original report was revisited. And they said we don't change.
You mean the sewer fund? Well, he had asked a couple of times to have a sinking fund established in the budget.
I need to look at Sil, we need to talk to Sil about getting that set up.
Right.
So so what we're talking here that Paul has comments is the sinking fund that he wanted to get set up for the sewer fund. He mentioned that at the meeting the other day, and, that needed. You need to talk to Sil or legal to get that set up.
Are we gonna do like a one-time budget expense to put money out of
Yes.
general fund into an account? Right?
Yes, that was what he wanted to do.
We're going to, request Ash Creek to put some sort of, allow us to approve some sort of surcharge. In addition to there being like a small amount to create this.
Well, I don't remember that, no, but I don't remember that discussion, but even if we did, I don't think we would institute that until we're annexed in by September 30th. I mean, I wouldn't do anything before then,
Well,
even if we
I
did.
also think that if annexation takes until October 10th. You know, if it's gone all the way through the process, I don't know what the. Civil is.
Oh, okay. Well, all I meant is, I don't know that we would do anything until we are actually in Ash Creek.
I agree with that.
Okay, The next was his comment about zoning administrator, because last month we talked about, making the position an employee position, but we never decided if we were gonna do that or not.
We did that.
No, he's still an independent contractor. We did not make him an employee. I discussed last month, you weren't here at our work meeting last week. I discussed the fact that Gene came to me and said he had no objection if we made him an employee instead of the independent contractor, but we've never done that.
Yeah, we can talk about
And
that.
so we did not vote on that.
I remember making changes to his independent contractor agreement.
No, we made it, we changed the independent contractor agreement.
Compensation.
Yes, it was compensation. So these comments are fine, but we have not made a decision whether or not we're making him an employee. I would have to talk to him and just. So far, his position is funded. It's just, this was an issue that we haven't decided yet. And I see that as a future thing for us to talk about. Same with his comment about town manager. We put money in a budget to hire what I call an administrative position, where we have not decided what that administrative position is. But he says he would vote for hiring a town manager for the reasons that he advocated last week. He points out that we are going to be using Sunrise for our planner, and I did sign the contract with them after our discussion last week. Because everybody seemed to like that idea, so I went ahead and signed the contract with them. And, he repeats his thing, we have an annual budget over $1 million. And that's why he thinks we need a town manager, and as I pointed out last week, Candace said we've got a budget over $1 million this year, and it'll be a one-time thing, and it won't be over $1 million next year. It's just for the purchase of the church. And that's why, but it will grow, I agree with them, it will grow every year. I like this last sentence, that's very complimentary, it's very complimentary of me. He says, although the current mayor is capable of running such a growing town, thank you, Paul, which is becoming more complex each year, there is no certainty that a future mayor will have the experience, expertise, or education to do so. After the next election, because I may not be here, or a future election where I definitely won't be. So,
It does kind of give some consistency, right?
Yeah, and I understand his thing, but we have not decided, nor is that really what's in the budget, we're putting money in the budget, that's in the budget, but.
Well, even though we're using Sunrise, the money that for the administrators.
Could pay for some of Sunrise.
That's what it's for.
So I have a meeting with Sunrise's planner tomorrow to talk about what we want them to do for the town, just so you know. So, those are all good ideas, but we will address them, I think, as we get closer to, like, so, annexing in, when we talk with Gene about whether we're gonna move, we're gonna go to what. And then, as we get ready, we don't even have an ordinance yet, he's prepared an ordinance, and I saw it in the, he's got a proposed ordinance for the town manager.
Yeah.
I saw it in.
So did you talk to Candace about breaking out the contracted labor court accounting service or real building administrator?
No, I have not, but that does not that does not affect us signing the budget tonight. That is in my notes to talk to her about, but that doesn't affect approving the budget tonight for next year.
So you're saying like a subledger under.
It's just a separate GL account, because there's so many things lumped on under contract labor, it's hard to identify. You're not, no,
Oh.
that's the thing.
So,
Yeah, some things are, so let's just be consistent and keep it clean.
and I said I didn't have any objections.
And I think it gives us a better idea of what our actual expenses are for certain things.
I think it's-
So I don't have any disagreement with that, it's just that that doesn't keep us from doing the
That's an ongoing project.
That's not going.
But the dollar amounts are the same.
Yeah.
Yes, because the dollar amounts are not gonna change. So, anybody make a motion, we can move on, let's see what times it here. Woo, 4:03. Somebody's getting text.
Okay, motion to approve, adopt the 2024-25 fiscal budget, resolution R 2024-L.
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. If there's no more discussion, Marcy,
No.
Misty,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and Jean, yes. Okay. Okay, next, resolution M, appointing Rebecca Galvez as the town treasurer beginning July 1st, 2024. We have discussed, we also discussed this last meeting. Anybody have anything different? Any objections?
Isn't the capital improvements next?
No, number 3 is
On my agenda.
It's out of order in the book, but on the agenda, it's next.
oh, on the agenda it's next. Okay, it's out of order for line.
It's in our.
Okay, I was doing them in numeric letter order. M and then N instead of N and then N. What do you have in your book, April? I mean, Crystal, what's your name over there? The resolution M is what? In your notebook is probably in the office.
M is.
I just wondered what you had written down. in
That is
your-
the 5-year capital improvement plan.
M is in Mary.
Mary, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Alright.
on the resolutions though, it's just backwards.
Yes, I got them backward on the things, yes, I just wanted to make sure, because I was addressing them, I had them in my folder this week. Wait, okay, resolution M is amending 5-year capital improvement plan. Any further discussion on that, or shall we, move forward with it?
Thank you, Cameron, for everything you said. I agree with you. I have the exact same concerns and issues. I'm not why there's a new truck in there. I haven't heard any reason or need for it. There's nothing in the plan for any kind of equipment. And I know in the past we've talked about an issue with backup, so I think whatever happened with that, it's not listed in there. Marcy. Sorry, we can't hear you, all right. That's my only comments.
Anybody else? On town council, any other council member have an issue with the capital improvement study? No, okay, I'll take a motion to approve the, resolution M amending the 5-year capital improvements plan.
I make a motion to approve the, resolution R 2024-M, amending the 5-year capital improvement plan.
I will second that. And so, we will do a roll call vote, just like, I'm doing everything else here tonight. Marcy,
Yes.
Misty,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
and me, Jean, yes, okay. All right, finally. The resolution appointing, Becky Galvez as our town, treasurer. If there's no discussion on this, I'll take a motion to approve Becky as the appoint Becky as our new town treasurer.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-N, appointing Rebecca Galvez as town treasurer of July 1st, 2024.
Okay. I'll second that. April,
Yes.
Marcy,
I'm gonna make a little comment here, and I think Becky has impressive experience, and I think she's gonna do a great job, but I'm gonna be consistent with my voting, and my position on the issue has not changed or been addressed on my votes.
Missy,
Yes.
and Jean is yes. Okay, so the motion is approved. The resolution is approved, has passed. All right. Next is ordinance 2024-08, amending the Virgin Municipal Code, setting forth the compensation for the treasurer that we just appointed. So, in the past, the treasurer, up until January of this year, our treasurer served for free. He was a town council member who served it and did not get paid. Then in January, we moved the town treasurer to an employee of the town, and we paid, Leroy agreed to serve for that 6 months, and we paid him the same amount that he had been getting as a town council member, but now, we would like the town treasurer to do more duties than what the town treasurer has done in the past. So we have increased the salary, and this is in the budget that we just, approved. So, I'll take a motion to approve an ordinance, setting forth the town treasurer compensation.
I'll make a motion to the ordinance 2024-08, setting compensation rate for town treasurer as of July 1st, 2021.
Second.
Okay, I will take roll call votes. Misty,
Yes.
Marcy,
For the same reasons, no.
April,
Yes.
and me, yes. Okay. Okay, amendment 2024-09, sign regulations. What this did is, this ordinance took the ordinance that we passed on March 19th, we passed a billboard ordinance. This new ordinance 2024-09 took that ordinance, and all it did is it changed the wording for existing billboards in chapter 5205. Otherwise, everything is exactly the same as it was when we passed the billboard ordinance in March. It's merely changed the wording regarding existing billboards, and we reviewed this last week, and we agreed to take out the words grandfather use, or grandfather, something. That's the only change.
Right, and the public notice document still has the language of grandfather.
Yes, yes, the public notice document does, but when in our meeting,
We're looking at.
the meeting that, we had last week, we agreed to take out the term grandfather.
Yeah, I know, I recall that, I just like. I could stick with a little bubble song.
What, you know?
So the meeting packet is different than what the public was.
No, it's not, it still says grandfather use,
What I did,
I think.
I prepared an ordinance amending what we agreed would be removed.
Okay, gotcha.
That's all this
That's
was.
what I'm saying,
That's
what
what
I
this
have in
is.
my hand is different.
Yes, I prepared it today. I
Okay,
drafted the ordinance removing those words,
okay.
so that I could sign it right now and say it's a done deal. Instead of us having to amend it and then we sign it a week from now. I can sign it right now. So.
Well, the one on SharePoint still has that language in it.
Yes, the one on SharePoint still has this. I prepared this today and I made copies, put it in everybody's file. Oh, okay.
Because we have to, I mean, post it.
Wait, what was posted?
That's what we're doing
We
now.
still have the copy with the illustration.
That was supposed what I'm saying is that we don't have to re-notice, and at this meeting, if the vote is to eliminate those.
Mhm.
That is not a substantial change, ordinance 2, the title of one of the sections, and it does eliminate it in the body of the paragraph. But you have the proper term, which is a legal non-conforming sign.
Right, and that's
So,
why,
to add an old nomenclature, which actually has some pretty.
well, what it had in the, one that's online,
Yeah.
that it had deemed a legally non-conforming sign, parentheses, grandfathered sign, and we just delete that.
Yeah.
That's all we did.
So you're saying we don't even have to vote on that?
Yeah, we have to put it in our.
You can vote on it, I'm just saying,
In the-
notice is not inappropriate. That is not a substantial change. You're making 2 deletions, and the proper term was already in there.
So you can make a motion deleting the term grandfather use, that we approve it, removing the term grandfather use,
Okay.
which is what was in the one that's still online. Yeah. So I'll take a motion to, approve ordinance 2024-09, removing the terms grandfather use from the, ordinance. I'll make that motion. Okay, make that motion.
Most of it is amending sign regulations of billboard chapter 52, removing the term grandfather use. That's ordinance 2024-09.
Second,
Okay, Misty,
yes.
Marcy,
Yes.
April.
Yes.
And Jean, yes. Okay. Okay, now we are moving on to ordinance 2024-10, where we also discussed this last week. And what I did, what is on SharePoint is still the one we reviewed at the meeting last week. But what we did is we amended it by adding the word highway in 2 different places to make clear that, what they were doing was, adopting only the highway portion of the master transportation plan. Now, one thing that we discussed last week is, if you look at item C where it says excluding all of the following, and it had all of the figures, and then it has some items in table 6. And I went over the master transportation plan, I put it in SharePoint today so that we can all look at it and look at these exceptions that they want to take out, and, the things that they want to remove. Even though it does say excluded items may be adopted. Even though they're excluding these, they then say these excluded items may be adopted, as part of the new general plan that's currently in progress. I see that. However, I had some issues with the things that they want to remove. So I put the plan on here, it's the very bottom thing here on, SharePoint. The master transportation plan.
The internet here.
Yes.
Horrific.
Hey,
Oh, no.
I'm looking at.
What happened? Here it is. You're looking at,
I look at the ordinance adopted, the planning commission had a public hearing,
yes,
doesn't indicate that, that's why I was asking.
they did, you're right, it does not say,
Review the action has to be the recommendation. Amending the general plan is just like, like a zone change that required a public hearing and recommendation from the county commission. After, vote, you know, and then.
And they did, it was on this last
I
public
just
hearing.
want to make sure procedurally, because what we are doing, we are actually amending our general. plan.
Yes, yes, and they did do a public hearing, but you're right, this does not say in here after public hearing, so we can add a whereas public hearing was held on X date.
Yeah, it's not critical.
What,
You can,
but,
you don't have to, that's just a recital.
okay,
If I was drafting, I would put this so that it's very clear that we follow the process. My recital will discuss the process.
they had a public hearing on June 12th. Was that not the date, June 12th? Was the date you guys had your public hearings? Planning commission?
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Yes, you guys had your public hearing June 12th, I was out of town, yes, okay. Yeah, it was the 12th, so would you like me to amend the whereases to say whereas the public hearing was held on June 12th?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, then I would say that we,
You can just say if they're, planning and zoning commission has conducted a public hearing, on June 12th, and after reviewing comments from the public and, the proposed amendments has made a recommendation saying.
you know, none of us are gonna remember those words you just said.
Crystal typing up, right?
You're right.
Well, she can review YouTube and say.
Yeah,
So shaking your mind then, because I can't hear it.
Okay, the planning and zoning commission on June 12th conducted a public hearing and upon receipt of comment from the public and reviewing the proposed amendment has made a recommendation to the town council of its approval.
Okay. So I will not be signing this one tonight, because we gotta amend the thing. However, these are my notes from the meeting on Thursday, where we looked at the ordinance. So here are my notes, and here's what I did, we added highway only down here, and if you look at the ordinance, I added highway only after section 1. That the general plan shall be amended to include the master transportation plan, whole highway only. This is what we talked about at the meeting. Then on page 2 of the ordinance, we added highway transportation plan on letter A. You see I added highway transportation plan on letter A. Section 1, section A, Marcy, added the word highway before transportation plan.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. And then we changed C, there's 2 Cs, we changed that second C to D. Okay,
Gina, it was May
May 8th was the hearing, not June 12th. Oh, you're right, May, what, yes, it was May 8th, sorry,
8th. Edit that in our motion.
yes. Now, on the figures, we made a note that we were going to check these figures, look here. Look at this. 13, they wanted to, I took that, I disagreed with that. Really, figure 13. Figure 13 is merely saying where they wanted the bus stops if the shuttle comes to town, and that's part of the highway. So I removed that section, it says figures 6, 11, 12, 13, I took out 13. And then table items, and they have 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, and 14. I want us to look at 6 and 8, because that they want to remove from table 6. And I know that we have 2 projects that are going to be coming in the next year that would have these roads put in, that they want to take out. Now,
I'm gonna have to look through your shoulder and see.
what?
I can't get the internet.
It's not looking close.
I just read this. Which tables are we looking at? 6?
Table 6. It's on page 18. Table 6 is on page 18. You got that second, okay. Did you get it at 18? Was it still loading for you?
And I think those are the roads that come right into my backyard.
Yes, 6, and what 8 is, but that project is gonna be coming in and they want those roads. There's no roads there now, but when the project comes in, they're gonna want those roads. That is number 8. Say what?
It's gonna be covered to loading.
And you know what, we can just, if it's not loading, then we can just, forget my removal of these numbers and just leave it with just the changes about highway. Because it does say excluded items may be adopted with reliance to reflect the major home.
Yeah.
So they could, even though I disagree with removing them, I could put them back in here and then we can approve this. With just adding the words highway.
Not getting
Okay.
buses between now and we get them.
I'm sorry, what?
We're not gonna be getting buses between now and.
No. Well, the bus route is starting July 1st. I mean, they're starting in the month of July, so next month, but we don't have a stop in Virginia. That will be coming, so that can be part of this. So we add that 13. Add that in, 6 and 8 here, added that in. So do you, whoever's going to be making this motion or this ordinance, if you need my notes from the meeting where we talked adding just the word highway only and highway, I'll give you my notes. Or I'll make the motion. I will make the motion.
Your vote is not gonna be the motion, so.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve, ordinance 2024-10. And on section 1 of the ordinance, after the words Virgin Utah Master Transportation Plan, August 2023, UDOT, we add the words highway only. And then in subsection A, we add the word highway before transportation plan. And we will amend the whereases to reflect the language that was given to us by our town attorney.
And you want this to say master transportation.
So sign it,
It's a sign regulations.
And the lastly, thank you guys for catching that. We will delete the short title that's underneath the words ordinance 24-10. The short title will be deleted.
I'll second your motion.
Okay. So. Misty,
Yes.
Marcy,
Yes.
April. Yes. Jean, yes. Okay, this one I have to be good. Ready to go. And that leaves the last ordinance, which is ordinance 2411, which is banning fireworks in town. Gotta get that in before the 4th of July next week. Anybody have any objection to us banning fireworks in town? I do not.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-11, temporarily ban the discharge of fireworks.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What I have to do, this one I do not.
Can you make Diane not have an S on it?
Where does it say
That's
that?
just a grammatical.
I don't want that in that shows. that
I also
where.
have my name spelled wrong on one of these as well.
Right?
But
did read, I didn't read it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I'll take that off, so I won't sign this. Fix that, anything else that need to be fixed there? Or is it just the word S, the letter S afterwards, like?
That's all. There was a.
Your name is.
Yeah.
We didn't order it, it was important last,
Right.
last time.
Last 3 years.
I just kind of question if her name has a G on it, one of the ordinances under the. Where it's in the.
Okay, you might have fixed something in the transportation one.
Oh, yeah, since I redid it,
I think
they fixed that like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's direct in there.
Okay, all right, so I did this. All right.
Sorry, I
Okay.
didn't mention.
That was our last item on the agenda. No need for closed meeting, or do we need a closed meeting? Any item we need for closed meeting? So I had moved this meeting so that you could be here, Keith, because I thought we were going to, vote on the square footage ordinance, and I wanted you here for us doing that. And, we ended up putting it off to July 11th, because Paul wants to be here with, I'd like for the whole town council to be here. And so we moved it to a special meeting on July 11th, right before our work meeting, and July 12th is the day that we have to, so 24 hours before the thing expires, we have to vote on it. I don't know if you think we need to be here for that, but, you can always attend by Zoom, we don't think so. Then I wanted to make a statement here before we close. I was gonna say this earlier during council comments, but I didn't. That it has to do with some items that need to go on the agenda for the planning commission at this next meeting. So when we had that Zoom call about the LaBrie project, a couple weeks ago, Keith, with the LaBrie project, when we had that Zoom call, you had asked us to put this on the next available planning commission meeting. And April, Crystal and I said the meeting's already too full, they'll have to go on July. So we were going to be putting that on the July meeting for the LaBrie project. And that is a final plat that we talked about. And I would like for you to come to that meeting to be able to explain to planning commission what this is. And LaBrie's gonna be here and whatever. The other thing that's going on,
That is not a public hearing, correct?
that is not, you said that we did not need a public hearing for the final plat. Our town code doesn't require that. Okay. Then. So that'll just be in the action items, and then we have to put in the action items, they've got to start on the adoption of the conservation plan that we are required to adopt. As part of joining the regional water supply agreement, and it has to be done before September 30th. So it's going on in the agenda. For discussion. It's not a public hearing, public hearing can take place in August. And then I still have not remembered what the third thing is. Well, the subdivision ordinance is underway. I have a meeting tomorrow with the planner who's writing that. He's gonna show us some stuff.
He's gonna, I would like to, I've been just training on what it needs to contain, we've been writing it for enterprise.
So he's got a draft, but you know, there's information that the town council has to say that we want.
Multiple different options.
Yes.
Places, you can do one of a couple different ways to still comply with the new House Bill 174.
Right, and so what he's bringing tomorrow is his rough draft, but the questionnaire that the town council has to answer as we want this, we want this, we want this, and then, so I'll put it on the July town council meeting for us to review that subdivision ordinance. and what, to answer the questions that he needs answered. So that he
And we
can
have
finish
to let
the
it
work.
work, the approval process, because we have it enacted, so we have to be compliant by, I think it's October first.
No, December 31st. So I told them that they have until October 31st to get us the ordinance, but it sounds, he's moving along at such a fast clip that we'll probably might have to put it in September.
We have companies.
So I signed a contract with Sunrise, and Sunrise hired Riker Stegler
Oh, yeah.
as their planner. And that's, they hired him, on their planning staff, and they told me that's who will be working with Virgin, for our planning needs. And so I have a meeting with them tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Yes, that's right, yes. And so, I figured you would be pleased, because you already told me your opinion.
We have a public hearing for the stormwater.
I know, Monica feels, Rod Mills said we need to have a public, that we've had a public hearing in the past when we adopted us. Just to apply for a CIP loan or a stormwater, I'm like, no, we've never had a public hearing for that. And I know that we got a loan or a grant for a stormwater study back in 2021. And then we lost it, and we applied for a CIB, a grant, in 2022 and did not get it. We applied in 2023, didn't get it. We're applying again, and he thought we had to have a public hearing. And I was like, I don't think so. I am unaware of us ever having a public hearing for anything like that. So we were asking if we need to do that. I don't think so.
Unless the grant application indicates that they want a resolution that is, when we get adopted after the public hearing, we don't need to under state law or.
Okay, and then do you have an answer for me about the resolution on, that I asked about right before we started? Do I need to do about the bank?
Oh.
The bank wanting a resolution?
So I think what the bank has decided how they want to do the loan is they're talking about doing it as a bond, but a direct purchase bond. And they are going to have Richard Chamberlain, who has been bond counsel for the town. He's going to write basically the bond or the loan documents. There likely will be within those documents a resolution to borrow. It's not like a resolution that we normally pass as a council for like land use matters and things like that. It does not necessarily need a public hearing, or anything like that. It's something that if we needed to operate on an expedited basis to close, then it's something where you would take a roll call vote or telephone vote, and then a ratifying vote at the next scheduled meeting. A resolution to borrow this says.
In the minutes, Mark.
As the council, because.
In the minutes, when we approved the minutes for May, there was, the minute said that he had said that the bank wanted a resolution.
Yes.
And I was like, do we need to do this? And
Yeah,
we
you're
need to do a special meeting because
they haven't given us the resolution yet. It's gonna be part of the loan documents.
okay,
So I think that there's an understanding that it's going to have to be circulated and signed and then ratified after the fact.
after
So it may be a resolution that every one of you are gonna sign as a council member saying, okay, this person is authorized to sign all the closing documents on behalf of the town.
okay, sorry.
That's really good.
So I signed the contract on June the 10th, and July 10th is when those 30 days run, or July 11th, one of those two, I have to count the 30 days for when the contract was to close. So I'm assuming we need to do this loan to get this loan paid them.
It has to be. And we have to close?
July 10th. I signed the let's
Have
see,
you
did I
had,
do the
have you had any
contract?
communication? I told them that they need to start communicating directly with you.
Okay,
And have you heard anything from
No.
Richard Chamberlain?
nobody.
Okay.
I think what
I probably ought to get all of us on conference call.
Okay, what I put there for you where I had the note asking what to do with this title insurance, I
I-
thought I had the contract with the church under there, and you could see.
I need to review the title.
Yes.
I want to know, this is a title, I need to see if there's anything from the title search that, is encumbering that land that might be an issue for the town. If not, then, because this is gonna show any exceptions from coverage, we're gonna purchase it and the church is, LDS Church is gonna give the town a title policy of insurance. And insuring title against any claims from anybody else, except for anything that is reported with record at the time of closing. I just need to review this and make sure that there's not.
Okay, so we've done the building inspector's been, and we've got a report from him, from Lance.
Okay.
And, the same day the building inspector went, we had the company go in to do the asbestos lead and mold testing. And, they were supposed to have our report to us yesterday. I paid extra to be able to get the report yesterday, but I don't remember seeing the report in my email. Although they did give us a verbal that there was nothing there, that they found nothing. And then, the survey that Marcy was asking for, Sunrise is gonna do that, and they contacted me saying they're getting it set up, and I gave them a deadline date, but they haven't contacted me, so hopefully I'm talking right for tomorrow, I'll do it by the
Who's doing the surveys?
Sunrise.
Are they gonna state the phone numbers or put something to identify the corners of
There's
both parts?
probably corners already there, but maybe they're not in the right spot.
There could be. Oftentimes they hammer rebar stake into the ground with a plastic cap, a survey cap on it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice that if they're gonna go out there and measure it and find it anyways, stake it so that we know exactly where our corners are on the building parcel and the neighborhood
Well,
parcel.
Joe Phillips contacted us, it was either Thursday or Friday, and said, okay, I think it was Friday, saying, okay, we'll get the survey set up, but I haven't heard anything. And so I'll follow up
Just make
tomorrow.
sure that it's not just gonna be, this is not gonna give us just a little record of survey map. It would be good to have a physical corner state.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right, and then the last thing that I'm aware of is the title insurance. We got the insurance, they wanted insurance during this 1 month, while we're in this 1 month period due diligence, because it's going on the property, wanted a liability policy, we took care of that. And, the only thing left is, that April's, Crystal's gonna be following up on with, the canal company about getting those shares in our name. That is, in the contract, they want that as part of our closing documents, they want to see that. So, I think I've covered everything, I've gone through the whole contract, and the only thing I wasn't sure of is this title insurance. And then this resolution for the bank, that the bank might want.
The bank's gonna have several documents that need to be signed, it's just.
Okay, so if we close July 10th or the 11th, then do 30 days, actually, given that June has 30 days, I think it actually falls into the 11th of July, not the 10th of July. I assume we need to get that money to them. We need to
Well, yeah.
loan for that, we
So-
gotta get that going.
So what state bank will do, you sign the loan documents, they wire in the funds. Funds, as soon as the deed records. And they wire the funds to the LDS Church and it's a closed deal, then the agreement says that we can then take possession upon reclamation. So,
We want that asbestos report back first, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was supposed to be here yesterday and I haven't seen it.
Even though.
I'll check
we've got
it, make sure
verbal,
you
it's
know,
not- it would
on
be
that
nice to-
copy.
it would be nice to have a
From the-
report.
Okay, so I guess still the last thing I want to be sure of before we close up and go away is, what is our next step with the bank?
We need to have a conference call and make sure that they understand our deadlines, their timing, when we need to instruct Richard Chamberlain that he needs to have bond documents. Prepared, and if Richard has something that he wants there to be an actual 24-hour publicly noticed special meeting. We need to know that so that we can get that done beforehand. Yeah, we just need to know that the bank.
Okay, well, I am available. I have a meeting tomorrow at 9 with Riker, and then I have a meeting at 11 with somebody as a code compliance officer, and then after the rest of the day.
Well, I'll see what I can do about planning up the conference call.
Okay.
So that everyone, we're all, and I told them, we need to be communicating with the town.
Okay. All right. Okay, anything else? Marcy, I'm gonna let you make the motion.
No, geez, pick it on me.
Oh, because you're always
Motion to adjourn. I'm ready.
All in favor? Okay, you're always packed and ready to walk out, that's why I always say, Marcy, want to make the motion?
Yep. So it's things like. And then the bottom.
It is.